Hello and welcome to Frankly Speaking, where we dive deep into regional headlines with leading policymakers and business leaders. I am Katie Jensen. On this episode, we speak to John Pagano, the CEO of Red Sea Global, the man leading one of the most ambitious tourism projects in the world, and who was also recently granted Saudi citizenship. Saudi Arabia is positioning the Red Sea as a major part of its economic transformation, aiming to create a luxury destination powered by renewable energy and carefully designed to protect its fragile coral reefs and marine life. But can the kingdom truly rival long-established destinations like the Maldives and Egypt? How will it maintain the balance between rapid growth and real sustainability? And what will it take to turn a national vision into a lasting international success story? Mr. Pagano, thank you for joining us on Frankly Speaking today. So lots to talk about the incredible work you're doing at Red Sea. But of course, first of all, a very big congratulations on being granted Saudi citizenship. That is a rare recognition extended to only a select few. Frankly speaking, what does this mean to you personally and professionally?
Well, thank you, Katie, and thank you for having me on your program. Look, I was honored to have been granted Saudi citizenship, and I'm grateful to the custodian of the two holy mosques, His Majesty King Salman, and of course the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, for bestowing this honor upon me. I'm grateful. I'm thrilled to be part of this. I've lived in Saudi Arabia now for almost 8 years. I've grown to love the country, the people, and to be part of the transformation of this kingdom. And now to be part of that transformation as a Saudi citizen is an immensely proud moment for me.
Tell me, how have ordinary Saudis responded to this news? Do you feel a shift in how people see you, or has the welcome remained just as warm?
Look, the Saudi people are incredibly hospitable, and they've always been warm and welcoming, but I was overwhelmed by the number of congratulatory messages that I received upon the formal announcement of my Saudi citizenship. So again, they've embraced me, they make me feel at home. I feel now part of society here, and I'm absolutely thrilled with it.
You, of course, have spent years living and working in the kingdom, almost a decade now. I think for many of our viewers watching abroad, perceptions of life as an expatriate in Saudi are often outdated. Tell me, what would you describe as the reality on the ground as an American expatriate living there?
Well, look, I think, as you said, the perceptions of what living in Saudi Arabia is like is way outdated. I think they have a perception that is unfortunately largely influenced by Western media that doesn't necessarily reflect the reality on the ground. This is a warm, welcoming place. It's safe. It's super dynamic. You've got great F&B offerings. You got great cultural offerings. I just feel totally at home. And I think most people that come and visit will feel the same. And I think what I would do is encourage everybody to come and see for yourself. Don't be influenced by others. Come and experience the warmth of Saudi hospitality firsthand.
Absolutely, great advice. Well, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the bigger picture. Now, Saudi Arabia has made tourism a central part of its economic transformation. You are leading one of the kingdom's most high-profile developments. But when you look at places like the Maldives or Egypt, destinations that already have loyal visitors, global visibility, and that strong tourism culture, do you think the kingdom really has what it takes to be able to compete at that level?
Absolutely. Look, I think we have a beautiful country with diverse geography, topography. I was really surprised when I first visited back in 2017 and I explored the destination. I had no idea that we had pristine islands and coral reefs and turquoise water. So we have the right ingredients. And then you layer in the rich culture and history of Saudi Arabia, and as I've already mentioned before, the warmth of the Saudi people, the hospitality that comes naturally to them. So I do believe we can compete on a global level. The other thing that we're doing that really differentiates us from other destinations is that, we've taken a different approach to the way we develop. We're focusing on regenerative development, a regenerative development approach, which actually celebrates and enhances nature and the environment. We have a rare situation here where we have a pristine coastline that hasn't been previously developed. So we're developing in a much more responsible manner. And I think, global travelers are going to, it's going to resonate well with them because they're looking for sustainable destinations to come and visit. And people want new destinations to visit. This is going to be a bucket list destination. I'm absolutely certain of that fact.
Oh, absolutely. I will say you've got an incredible social media team. The videos we continue to see come out of some of your projects are truly majestic. And I want to ask you about sustainability in just a moment. But first, let's talk about some of the projects that you're involved with, because there's several major developments along Saudi Arabia's west coast. We have Red Sea, we have Amala, and other projects under the RSG umbrella. Now, together, they span thousands of square kilometres, you've got dozens of islands and a real mix of resort concepts. It's a huge undertaking. So can you take us through where each project stands today and the kind of experience that you're creating?
Well, thank you. Look, we have two major projects that are being developed. We have the Red Sea and Amala, as you've said. And I'm happy to say that we're now at the tail end of that development process. In total, between the two destinations, we have 27 hotels and resorts. To date, we've opened 9. By the end of the year, we will open 12. By January, that'll be 17. And by April, May time, all 27 resorts and hotels will be open. We've opened a new international airport, which is currently achieving 16 flights a week. And that number will grow as we continue to open the destination. So absolutely delivering on the original vision. It didn't happen overnight, as you know. We've been working on this now for a good number of years, but I'm absolutely thrilled to be at the end state and actually now welcoming people from around the world. It's absolutely, truly exciting and fulfilling the ambition that we set at the very beginning.
Oh, absolutely. Being able to finally see it all come to life must be incredibly satisfying. Obviously, huge, large-scale project as well. With all of that moving forward, is it realistic to be able to launch them all at once, or are you looking at more of carefully planned, phased rollout?
Well, look, we've started opening, maybe not well known, we started opening our first resorts back in 2023. So last, 23, we opened 1. In 24, we opened another 4. And now we're into 25 and we're opening additional hotels. So it has been a phased opening, which has been absolutely brilliant for us because it has allowed us to really develop our operating procedures and adapt to the dynamics and the changes that new openings is bringing to us. We have land mobility, we have air mobility, we have sea mobility. So, bringing all these parts together for the first time in a brand new destination is not the simplest thing in the world. Yeah. But as I said, with the phased opening, it has allowed us to ease into that. And we're fully ready as we now really launch into the full operation of the entire destinations.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the specifics of the project, because sustainability has been a real cornerstone of this, hasn't it? You have 100% renewable energy, protecting fragile coral reefs, and there's a big emphasis on regenerative tourism. We know that around 3/4 of the islands will actually remain untouched, and visitor numbers are going to be tightly controlled as well. But there is the flip side, critics who argue that even so-called low-impact construction still leaves a footprint. So how are you able to guarantee that the Red Sea won't end up damaging the very ecosystem that you're promising to protect?
Well, look, at the very beginning of our journey, we put nature at the forefront of our value proposition. It was very important to us that we protected and preserved it. So what I often tell people is we were inspired by nature, but we were ultimately led by science. Before we actually put a spade in the ground, we brought scientists on board to work alongside us. We did a lot of baseline surveys to really understand the destination and mapped it all out. And we undertook this marine spatial planning simulation, which actually studied all of the islands, all of the marine ecosystem, the land and the terrestrial systems. And then we sort of moved things around, trying to find the optimum distribution of where to develop and where not to develop, with the aim of not just simply maintaining the status quo, but actually increasing the net conservation value of our destination compared to leaving the destination untouched. So what we've been able to do is, select the right islands, select the right locations, with the end game in mind, making sure that when we go fully operational, that we aren't going to create any lasting damage or leave a footprint. Now, this is all theoretical. We are using a lot of technology. We're using a lot of sensors in the water, air monitoring, et cetera, and using the buzzword of today, the artificial intelligence and machine learning, to constantly monitor real time what's happening on the ground in the sea, so that we can adapt and react before we create any kind of issue. So it's really being led by science. We chose the islands very, very carefully. I often tell the story about one of our islands, which has created the turtle emblem for us as our mascot, if you will, or the reminder of nature's first approach, where the island would have been a perfect destination for us to develop, but it was a favored nesting site of the critically endangered hawksbill sea turtle. And instead of developing the island and ensuring economic success or profitability, we chose not to develop the island. And that's an example of how we put nature and the environment ahead of profit. And that's, ultimately will drive great success, I believe, for us.
Which is quite remarkable, isn't it? I will say, I understand the turtle's your favourite animal as well. There's very much a perception sometimes, I think, that the Red Sea is being built only for the ultra wealthy. Now, this is reinforced by the fact we see often celebrities like Cristiano Ronaldo holidaying there. Tell me, is this meant to be an exclusive playground for a select few, or will it eventually be a destination for a broader audience?
And absolutely not a destination only for the elite. Yes, we opened, the first resorts that we did open are in our ultra luxury category. However, they only represent a mere 10% of the total number of hotel rooms. And as we start now opening up Shura Island, the heart of the Red Sea, that is opening up our addressable market considerably, where our entry level is going to be around the $500 mark, which puts it well in reach of many, many people. So our 4-star and 5-star product becomes the mainstay. 40% will be 4-star, 50% will be 5, and as I said, 10 will be in that ultra luxury space. So it will be accessible to the masses, and so I really want to dispel any notion that it's only for the super rich.
I mean, $500, still not a cheap price, I'd say, but not out of reach for a lot of travellers. Now, another big news, you recently announced a new project in Italy. Now, that's important because it's the first major step for RSG outside Saudi Arabia. What details do we know so far? I don't think a location has been announced specifically there. So why Italy, and what does this signal about where the company is heading?
Well, look, if you go back in time, we changed the name of the company to Red Sea Global a few years ago, and really it was a statement of intent. When we created Red Sea in the first instance, I'm talking about the company, we set out to create a vertically integrated real estate company, a national champion for Saudi Arabia. And the intention was not only to develop the Red Sea, but also to look at other developments within the kingdom, more regionally, and then ultimately globally. Amala was an addition to the original Red Sea company. So that was fulfilling one aspect of that ambition. And Italy is now the next. It's the natural evolution. But we're going to be very selective, where we develop. They need to be developments that, fulfill and meet our ambitions and our commitments to environmental sustainability. So they need to be something that resonates with the values of the company. And this particular project in Italy achieves all of those particular aims. And look for more. Look, we're always going to be on the lookout for other opportunities. But as I said, we're going to be extraordinarily selective.
Okay, what can you tell us about the Italy project so far? Is there a specific city or region that you're going to be focusing on? What kind of project as well?
Well, look, as you won't be surprised, it's a tourism hospitality-led project. I'm not able to really speak to the location at this stage. We will announce it in sometime in the future when we have more certainty around certain aspects of it. But rest assured, it is going to achieve the same levels of quality and guest experience that we're hoping to achieve right here in the Red Sea.
And what about the sustainability focus as well? Is that something similar that will be a big priority there too?
Absolutely. So again, we want to work with nature in every destination that we work in, and so that will certainly feature strongly.
Okay. Now, of course, all of these projects clearly require significant backing. When we're focusing on Saudi Arabia in particular, can I ask how much of that comes in the form of government subsidies? And then when it comes to foreign investment, what are the biggest hurdles for hotel operators and developers entering the Saudi market? Is it regulation, talent, cultural expectations, or infrastructure?
Boy, that's a loaded question. There's a lot in there. First and foremost, look, any large-scale, super ambitious project in a new destination or new location will require some level of government support. And it's not unique to what we're doing here. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in London. If you think back to the enterprise zones where the government provided a stimulus through either tax concessions or actually building infrastructure in order to stimulate and attract private sector investment. So that's no different here. We've had some government subsidy to deal with the large infrastructure expenditure that we've had to make. For example, we built a new international airport, over 100 kilometers of roads. So that naturally comes in. Our principal backer, of course, is the Public Investment Fund. And when we're developing a new industry in a country that really hasn't been known for leisure tourism, you need that level of support and commitment in order to get the concept off the ground. So what we're developing at Red Sea in Amala is the first phase, which needed the support of the Public Investment Fund, but we're already attracting investors from the private sector, both domestically and internationally. Let me give you a couple of examples. We did 2 joint ventures on 2 different hotels with Saudi, well-known Saudi investors. Kingdom Holdings we're jointly developing a 4 Seasons, and the Al Mutlaq family is jointly investing with us to develop a Jumeirah resort right here in the Red Sea. But we've also done several public-private partnerships or concession agreements to develop the infrastructure, the utilities infrastructure. We did a deal with them on the Red Sea with Aquapower as the lead consortium lead, and we did another project with EDF and Masdar up at Amala. We also did a design, build, operate, transfer agreement with Saudi Airlines Catering Company. So we are now attracting investors. The proof ultimately is going to be in commercializing the destination. We're at that stage now. And already we're now starting to receive more and more inquiries about how people can participate and invest in the project, which is a reflection of the quality of what we've built. People are now coming and experiencing the destination, and it's given people greater confidence, because lots of big projects are announced and don't necessarily ultimately achieve their vision. We're actually delivering on the ground, and I think that's now creating that level of interest from, as I said, both domestic and indeed international investors.
And that was going to be my next question. Where are you seeing the most interest from? Is it from investors within the kingdom? Is it more GCC, or is it fully international?
Look, not surprisingly, we started with domestic investors who obviously believed in the vision and have invested, but even more are now coming to the fore. We're starting to see some regional interest and some international interest as well. And it comes in various different forms, infrastructure investors and people like that. So again, this is an evolving piece. As I said, as we open the destination and more people come and experience, and we prove the concept, which we're absolutely confident in is going to achieve the outcomes that we'd set ourselves at the beginning, I think we're going to see more and more investor interest from all over.
Now, of course, there's also been numerous reports pointing to the Crown Prince's close hands-on involvement in the Red Sea project. I know he's said to have incredible attention to detail as well. Tell me a little bit about your day-to-day interactions with him.
Well, look, I'm fortunate enough to have regular interactions with His Royal Highness, and you hit the nail straight on the head. He is very detail-oriented. We present all of the designs before we actually select one. He's very meticulous in that, and he drives us to achieve better, to come up with unique designs. And I think what you're seeing being realized, as you previously mentioned, you're seeing our social media channels showing how beautiful these destinations are. They're not only beautiful, but they're super unique. They're unique globally. If you look at our Shebara resort at the Red Sea, it's trending globally. We're getting visitors from South America. Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting visitors from South America, from Australia, which are probably the furthest you can get away from our destination. Yet they're coming because they're intrigued by what they see. They're intrigued to come and experience the Saudi culture and hospitality, and we're super, super delighted with that. But that's driven by His Royal Highness. I have to say, they're not the most cost-effective solutions, but they are the most dramatic and have attracted the global attention, which was the original intention under Vision 2030, to put Saudi Arabia on the global tourism map. If we just built conventional hotels, yes, they would have succeeded, but they wouldn't have attracted the global interest that our designs and projects are attracting today.
And I will say it is such a unique design. You mentioned Shibara Island as well. I had a look at some of the walkthroughs there, and they're incredibly futuristic. And even the way, the smaller details, like this huge mini bar that's probably taller than I am, that opens up as well. The sprawling outdoor area on the deck as well. It really is quite remarkable. Tell me, with some of these details, I guess, how is His Royal Highness's leadership style? How has that helped shape the project?
Well, as I said, he drives us to do better, to achieve what some people might consider the impossible. We've been able to do it because of his guidance and his support at every step of the journey. This is a remarkable. I've never experienced this in my life, where the future sovereign of the country is so deeply involved in the details of really driving home Vision 2030, and is in particular the growth in the tourism space and the creation of unique designs that are going to be instantly recognizable as being Saudi Arabian. That was very important from the beginning, and we're now delivering on that promise and that vision.
Tell me, what is the next major milestone for Red Sea Global? And since you're joining us today, can we get an exclusive hint at what's coming next?
Well, look, the project continues. The focus right now, as I've mentioned earlier, is we need to open all 27 resorts and hotels, which is no small feat, no small undertaking. But we're already working on the next phases of the project. We have a project called Lahek Island, which is a resort-led community, which is designed to attract second home buyers, a lifestyle proposition, if you will. And we have other designs that are in the master planning phase and on the drawing board. So, look, if you look at the Red Sea and the Mala projects, in total, we're going to develop 80 hotels and resorts across the two projects. So we've currently developed around a third of that, and so there's another 2/3 to come. Just watch this space. More exciting news will come in the future.
Okay, tell me, for you personally, because you've been involved in this project since the very beginning, I guess, what's your favourite part of the project? When everything is open and up and running, what is the bit that you're going to be the proudest of or most excited about?
Look, I think I get a great sense of pride when I see these destinations come to life, when they're animated with people enjoying the beauty of the Red Sea, enjoying the service that we created. We have a huge Saudi workforce that supports us. And I love watching the pride in the Saudi staff, showcasing their country to the world. And I'm equally, encouraged and enthusiastic about how Saudi guests react to being served by Saudi staff. It's just a remarkable, experience and exchange between them. So that to me is what really excites me. I love seeing that interaction. I love the pride that the Saudis have in what's being developed in their country, and I also love the pride that my team has. When we open a new destination, it's celebrated amongst the entire organization. We've built an amazing company with great culture, and everybody believes in the vision. Everybody drives towards perfection and the highest levels of service. And again, that makes me super happy.
I mean, it's an incredible project. The scale of the development is truly impressive. Tell me, a lot of challenges obviously involved in bringing this to life. What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night? Look, challenges are there all the time. And the key to dealing with it is not to ignore them. You just have to face them front on. And I often tell my children, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. So we just take every challenge as it comes, and we just embrace it, and we figure it out, because development is never a straight line. It's never without its challenges. But I've built an incredible team. The entire organization numbers over 11,000 people today. Now that covers the entire spectrum of the development piece, the corporate piece, the delivery piece, and ultimately the operations. And so with such a strong, committed team, no challenge is too big for us.
Great advice. I know a lot of your team often talk about how calm you are. So I think having you at the helm of this project has clearly been a big part of its success. Mr. Pagano, thank you very much for joining us on the show today. I know it's a busy week for you, so we appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Katie.